All right, thanks for joining us today. We're going to take a quick look at Doctor Doom number 105 from the in-store Fantastic Four storyline event. He is one of the grand prizes for the event. Let's get right to it today. So taking a look at his sculpt, you'll see he looks pretty cool, decked out in his black uniform. And with that energy effect up on top. Okay, let's look at his card. So you'll notice that he is starting with the Latverian Armor, Mystical, Past, Ruler, and Scientist keywords. He has 2 traits, and there's going to be a lot of die replacement here. So we're going to take a look at them, and then we'll actually look at it in action to help you with how all this die replacement kind of interacts, basically. And then we'll take a look at kind of advanced ways you can play them too. All right, first trait is free. Remove a d6 from this card, Giant Reach X this turn, where X is the result of that d6. Okay, you might ask, how does he get the d6s on his card? Well, it's going to be here in the second trait. He has Blades, Claws, Fangs, and Super Senses traded. If there is no d6 on this card when Dr. Doom uses either power, after resolutions, you may place the result of that d6 on this card. Then he also has, when Dr. Doom uses Blades, Claws, Fangs, or Super Senses, once per turn you may replace the die in the result for the d6 roll with the d6 on this card. Okay, so the way you load up the dice is he cannot have a d6 already on his card. When he uses Blades or Super Senses, then that d6 result you may put it on your card. Okay, and then once he has it on there, we've looked at the first trait, so he can have a free to remove it to have giant reach of X this turn. Okay, a second way that he can use that die is in the second trait, where he can remove it when he uses Blades or Super Senses to replace the d6 result. And then his special damage power is the third way that he can use that. He has the special damage or special defense power of Invincible. When Dr. Doom clears at least 1 action token, you may remove the die on this card to heal him 1 click, and that is Protected Outwit. So you have 3 different ways that you can use the die once it's on the card. He also has the Minions of Doom team ability, which is when he KOs somebody, a character with that team ability can heal 1 click. And that can be him. It doesn't have to be another character with that team ability. So you have 2 different ways that he can be healing himself. Looking at the back of the card, he is going to be coming in at 100 points for 6 clicks. But he is going to be pretty durable because you're going to have the Minions of Doom as a way to heal, and you can take a d6 off his card when he clears at least 1 action token to heal 1. So that 100 points, he's going to be hitting hard and should have a couple ways for you to keep him on the map a little bit longer. All right, looking at his stats, he's going to be a flyer. He's starting with 1 power set on click 1, and then it alternates down the dial onto a second power set. So click 1 is starting with a 9 movement charge, so he can move 5 and then attack. 12 attack, 18 defense with that invulnerability, and 3 damage exploit. And remember, he has traded Blades and traded Super Senses. So charge, Blades, exploit. Super good. Okay, click 2. So the even number clicks, he's going to have sidestep, the 12 attack, the traded Blades, the same defense power, and then 3 damage with outwit. All right, let's take a look at a couple different scenarios here of how this plays out in action. All right, so we have the Gotham police officer over here. He is going to be trying to shoot Dr. Doom. Let's say, so Dr. Doom has the traded Super Senses. Let's say he hits a Super Senses roll of 5. So the officer tries to take the shot. Doom Super Senses out of it. That result, so he started with no d6 on his card. He hits the Super Senses for 5, so he gets to put a 5 on his card. Okay, then let's say opponent's turn ends, your turn starts. Your Dr. Doom now has a 5 on that card. He has a charge of 10 movements or 9 movements, so he can go 5. So he could charge up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, charge, blades, exploit. And when he uses that blades, swinging with the 12 attack, just base without any perplexes or whatever you build out around him, he could remove the D6 then on his card to do 5 exploit damage. Okay. Now another way that can play out, say the same scenario, maybe he doesn't want to charge up depending on what the rest of the map looks like. He could remove this D6 for free, take a free action, remove the D6, and he has now Giant Reach 5. So he could Giant Reach, close attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he could charge just 1, and then Giant Reach, blades, and exploit. Okay, now in that kind of scenario, he started with the D6 on his card. So he can take his free action, get rid of it for Giant Reach this turn. Then he can do his charge here. He's going to be doing blades. Let's say he rolls a 4 with blades. Then he's going to be hitting for that 4 exploit. And then he can take that D6 because there was none on his card when he did his blades. And then that 4 then goes on his card. Okay, let's take a look at another scenario here. So on this one, let's say that Doom, he's starting all the way back there, and he has no D6 on his card. So your opponent is moving into position. You have a 5 movement charge, so that's pretty decent. So they're right at the edge of where you can get. You're going to go ahead and charge in, charge, blades, exploit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, since he's on his top click. He'll move in there. Blades, let's say you hit a super good blade, so you get a 6. That 6 then can go on his card, since he had no D6 on that card before you did your blades. Let's say that's enough to get rid of that guy. Okay, your turn ends. Next turn then, he's going to be sitting there with a 6 on his card. That's a potential 6 blades exploit, which can influence what your opponent might try to do because they know that that's sitting there. Or a Giant Reach 6. So he could, if you're feeling lucky with your D6 rolls, he could take a free action, get rid of that, and give himself a Giant Reach of 6. He could charge. Let's see, on this one, these guys are pretty far away. So right now they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares away from where Doom's at. Okay, Doom could charge 1, 2, 3, 4, Giant Reach 6, and make a close attack with that blades exploit. Depending on what you roll then, let's say you roll a 5 on your blades roll. He had no D6. 5 can go on there for next turn. So a couple different ways to use him just as he is with no additional equipment on him. Now, things that give free attacks. In Modern, we still have Waldo Arms. Waldo Arms give you a beginning of the turn, you get to roll dice, and depending on what the result is the effect that happens. If you roll 5, 6, it gives you free make a close attack. Something like that on a character like this could be pretty devastating. Because in those scenarios that we just went through, let's go through just a quick one here. Let's say he is starting with nothing on his card, so you have to initiate the first attack to get something on his card. Let's say that your opponent did not come in and attack you and you get to do your super senses on it. Okay, so you're sitting there, nothing on your card. You can charge in, just like we did in our one scenario. Let's say you get something like a 5. So on your Waldo Arms, if you hit that roll, we're going to get a free make a close attack this turn. Dr. Doom can charge in. If he hits a good blades roll, let's say he gets a 5, it can go on his card since he had none there. Okay, and that might be enough to get rid of the opponent, 5 penetrating damage. Now he has free make a close attack, and he has where he can free remove that dice to give him Giant Reach. So then if your other opponents are maybe 5 squares away, then you could free remove this, give him Giant Reach X this turn, X being 5. You could then free with the Waldo Arms, make a close attack, and you'll be activating blades again, where you, since there's no D6 on that card, then whatever your blades roll is, it loads up that card again. If it's a good roll, you can choose to put it on there. All right, so let's take a look at another scenario that you can do here with the with Doom's traits and abilities. Let's say that you haven't made a Super Senses roll yet, and you haven't done a Blades roll yet, so that you have no D6 on your card. Your opponent gets in there; they're doing their attack first. So they attack Dr. Doom. Let's say Dr. Doom does not hit his Super Senses, so he rolls for Super Senses. Let's say he gets a 1. You can choose to put that on the card, depending on what the scenario is. It could be to your advantage, because Doom is going to have that special defense power throughout his dial where he has invincible. Okay, and we could put that on his card. So if your opponent is not hitting very hard, so you have invincible, you're going to be reducing the damage by 2. So let's say Doom takes a couple clicks of damage, but looking at your dial, that he's going to survive. So you might want to take that missed Super Senses roll, put it on your card so you have a die loaded there. Okay, then it becomes your turn. If he gets hit onto an even click, he's going to have that Blades with Exploit. If he gets hit onto an odd click, he'll still have the traded Blades. So let's say we take an action here. Let's say it's a one where we get the Blades Exploit. Okay, now you start with that 1. You're not going to want to pull that off to replace your Blades attack. But he can Blades Exploit. Maybe it's enough to get rid of the threat. So we get that guy out of there. Doom's tokened up. Now next turn, when he goes to clear, he can remove that die that's on his card to then heal 1 click. That Minions of Doom would have healed him another click when that KO happens. So that's a way that you can use it more on the defensive side. Let's take a second and break down one more thing that sometimes is confusing for players when it comes to Giant Reach. So let's say Dr. Doom has a 3 on his card. Okay, and your opponent has sent in this officer to attempt to tie up Dr. Doom so that the other officer can take shots. Maybe this guy's setting up to charge in there. Or your opponent might have another figure that is ranged, so they're trying to tie you up. Okay, a cool thing on Giant Reach, so you're loaded with a 3 on there. He can take that free action to take the 3 off of his card, and that will give him Giant Reach 3 this turn. Now, even though he's tied up, sometimes players get confused because they think Giant Reach is kind of like a ranged attack, but it's a close attack. So even though you're based up, Dr. Doom is a normal-sized character, so he can't see over anybody, but he has a line of fire here to this character. So 3 away, 1, 2, 3. So he could close attack where he's at, Giant Reach 3, and go ahead and attack that officer if that's the threat he wants to get rid of. And one more thing to note on Giant Reach, this is also sometimes confusing. Let's say, for whatever reason, this character has stealth over here. Your opponent has stealth. They're sitting in hindering. Doom is based up again. We just went over that the base, just being adjacent, isn't going to stop Dr. Doom from being able to do his Giant Reach attack. And the stealth also, so Giant Reach gives you improved target in hindering. So that stealth over here, when usually you would not be able to make a ranged attack unless you have that improved target in ability. So this stealth character, the Giant Reach, goes right through it because it grants you the improved target in hindering. So you can draw that line of fire and try to punch that person that many squares away. Okay, hopefully that gave you an overview of all the things that this Doom does. I think for 100 points, even without any of the equipment, I think that gives you a good base to build from. He has multiple ways to heal. He has not traded, but he has a special defense power of invincible that has protected outwit, so you'll have that throughout your dial. He has the one way to load a die. Actually, well, it's if you consider it 2 different ways. When he does Blades or when he does Super Senses, he can load a die. And then 3 different ways that he can use the die that's on his card. So should be a pretty fun character. I can't wait to play test it in actual action. On paper, I think it looks pretty good. 100 points, you're looking at a 1/3 of your standard build. But I think he brings a lot to the table. Definitely a close combat type of character to get the most out of that Blades exploit. but then the giant reach does give you some versatility on hitting characters that are out there. Plus, all the different types of equipment you can put on him should give a lot of different ways that you can use this guy on a team. Some strong keywords for team building. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Check it out. If you dig what we do, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.